This is the heaviest podcast. Let's go!
Yo, what the hell is up? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship of the altar of radness.
What are you saying, people of the internet?
What is good, people? What are you saying?
What is happening? It's
What have
nice.
you been
It's
saying?
nice to be back. It's nice to. We're gonna stick a middle finger up to the internet as an entity this week, and we're gonna successfully record a podcast.
Who's getting it? Is it Big Billy Gates? Is he getting it these
Big Billy
days?
boy. I'm blaming
who's
Billy
really
boy.
at the top?
Who owns the internet? That is a very good question.
Who's really at the top?
That's a question I want to know the answer to. Is it the military? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the?
Because
I was going to say the Queen. She's dead, isn't she? Is it the King? Who really knows? Somebody must own the internet.
John Internet. I don't know. Whoever's
Hamish
up there.
Internet. He owns the internet.
Whoever they are. We were under attack last week. I think we might have been DDoSed.
Yeah, I think it might have happened. Someone didn't want to know. Didn't want our spicy takes on riffs, did they?
It was probably like a podcast that talks about like ska music or something. And they were like, look, we've got to do something. They keep spreading good riffs everywhere. Like we need to sort of take militant action against the spreading of good music.
We were definitely targeted by our rival podcast, the Pop Punkiest. Screw you guys. Screw you guys.
Yeah.
Go listen to the State Champs album and go away.
Yeah. It was a frightful affair. We had Tom with us from Celestial Sanctuary, and we were like, we had a really good. He was like telling us all about their download thing. Like they played download, and there was all. It would have been a really good podcast, but it stopped and started about 74 times.
It was so upsetting. I was gutted because it was really fun. It was really cool.
Even when it went to the old mobiles, didn't we?
We tried everything. We tried everything to salvage it. He's not here this week. He's too cool now because he's on Radio 1. So he's decided, no, he's not really. That's not Tom. Don't be silly. Tom's on a highway to hell. So, respect to him.
He is on the highway to hell. He's getting thunderstruck as we speak.
He is. He's getting thunderstruck right now. And I've run out of ACD references to make.
He'll be back in black pretty soon on the old podding cast.
Back in Black Dahlia Murder, which I think will be the next time we bring him on the show.
Yes, Gary, I think so. We can keep going. Angus Young, Brian Johnson. They're the only other two things that I could possibly say that are anything to do with
Malcolm
ACDC.
Young, although I think he died fairly recently, but he was in the band as well because he was Angus Young's brother, right?
Young.
They're from Australia. I know that.
Is that?
Yeah, Malcolm Young, riffing guitar.
Know.
Yeah,
God,
Malcolm,
he just
rock
got
and roll name.
He got completely overshadowed by his brother just putting on some shorts, didn't he?
Put on his school uniform, and then nobody else ever saw him again. Just disappeared. Just became invisible immediately. Poor bloke.
In ACDC, they don't all wear the school uniform, do they? That's just Angus Young's vibe, right? He's very much the proto Wes Borland in that respect, right? He's just not as out there, but the idea of just one guy. It's fine. Like you don't need to have like the vibe, like you would have had like your Kisses in that time.
Yeah,
and they're all in it together, right? They're all like, I'm a dragon, you're a
as each other.
Yeah, I'm a cat. I've got a star on my face.
A star, yeah.
At least they were all in. But what? Do you imagine that one day they're like writing an album and Angus just comes in absolutely battered, dressed like a 7-year-old.
In the actual one he went to school in that's way too small. Yeah. It's like, right, boys, I've cracked it. This is going to be our thing. Everyone, we're going to become really famous because of this school uniform that I'm going to rock. And it worked.
Yeah. It was like, at that point, Malcolm was just getting way too much Minge. He was just absolutely killing it. Like Malcolm was just
swimming in
burying
it.
him, just absolutely burying him, and he was like, "Look, I really need to turn this around. I need to gain much more notoriety. And there needs to be a power shift. This
I
needs
know
a
what'll
power
work,
shift."
mate. You kind of in passing mentioned Wes Borland. Have you seen? Ed Sheeran went to a Limp Bizkit concert, and there's that photo of Wes Borland and Ed Sheeran. And I saw a meme that killed me. It was like the two of them, and Wes Borland's in his full. He's like dressed like a gold chicken or something. And the meme was like, when someone from work comes to see your band play, and I was just like, absolutely amazing, so funny. Quality. Yeah, man. How's your week been, boss? How you doing? Everything good?
Yeah, you know me, Gary. Just pirouetting gracefully into fatherhood, like sort of less and less blinkered on the concept every day.
What have you been doing to prepare? Have you just been watching episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond? He's the best dad there is, right?
I've been watching a lot of Catchphrase. I don't know if that's really going to play into it, but I have been watching an inordinate amount of Catchphrase.
Famously.
And I'm guessing I can sort of pick up like rubbish sayings that I don't know and sort of fold them into my personality. And
is this how you transition into like dad humor, just by watching
pure dadhood?
Tons of Catchphrase,
yeah.
just to become pure dad jokes.
I've been eyeing up some sandals actually that I think are quite daddy.
Oh yeah, Birkenstock.
Yeah,
they come out after
like
the baby.
them,
I hear from the womb. That's where they come from.
Yeah, often what they do is they're forged from the placenta. You sort of dry it out. You put a nice sort of glue
That's
compound.
how they make Birkenstocks, mate. Absolutely.
That's it. No, that's me, mate. I'm just flying towards it.
Awesome.
It could happen at any moment now.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I need to get my bag ready. Like, you need to have a little bag ready.
Oh, your go bag.
She's got her bag ready, like a go bag.
What do you need? What do you need to take? Your
I
Nintendo
need snacks,
Switch.
apparently. Apparently, I need snacks.
Snacks.
Apparently, they don't feed you there. She gets her dinner sorted out, right? They'll come in and give her food, but the lady was like, they don't feed you.
Not actually,
so just
admitted, are you? I guess so.
I mean, to be fair, there is a cafe up there, so it's not really. It's not worth investing in like.
They got a Costa
ration packs and one of those like.
You can get a croque monsieur from Costa. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I was thinking about just getting a load of pepperonis in. Just having them in my pockets.
Yeah, that's just what you need. When the first time you meet your offspring, you just got like pepperoni breath. It'll judge you forever. That'll be it. We lost cause from then on. You're right.
Sorry, I had to. I just had to. Yeah, you know me. That's what dads get up to, mate. You can't. You see something. It's like kicking the tires. You just you can't
help but fix broken things for people.
I'll be folding up loads of things and putting them under the old stool.
One under the legs and the table.
The table leg. Yeah, I'll be doing that all over the shop now.
Oh, mate. Well, if you, I need some. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Damn it!
See, Gary, you don't even.
I drew a blank. I don't know because I don't have a future offspring on the go, so I just don't know how to do any DIY. I always just pay a bloke to come and do it for me.
Yeah, just get a geezer in. I mean, that's what I will be doing, but I will be trying to take on more tasks. I think.
Respect to you. You got a kid to put through college, so you won't be able to afford to pay a bloke.
What I might start doing is breaking things just in the way that it's not completely broken, but nobody knows that it was me that did it, and then I can fix it, and then I can sort of look like I knew.
Oh, hang on a second! I spotted that light bulb needs sorting out. And just unscrewed it a little bit. There we go. I've sorted it. You're welcome, Jolie. No worries.
Yeah.
Thank God I was here, right? Thank God I was here.
Have you any idea how loose that was? You got no idea. That was 3/4 of a complete turn off.
Oh dear me.
That would have killed you.
Mate, am I allowed to
Gary,
to rub it in about the riffs that I saw this week? Is that allowed?
Yes. I knew it was coming to this. That's why I was buggering around so much.
That's why you were procrastinating so much.
Yeah, I was buggering around so much because I've been seething with jealousy. I've been. This is actually. There's a lot of color correction that's happening in post at the moment because I am one of the Hulk characters right now. I'm like, I'm just quite hulked out. I am a certain shade of green.
Yeah, I went to the big tour. I went to see the Strain. It was Bristol. I went to the Fleece. I love the Fleece. You've been to any shows in the Fleece? I don't know that we've been to any together.
One is the Fleece?
The Fleece is like it's just a really big square room. It's got some like pillars to hold the roof up and make sure it don't fall down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like attached to a funny little pub.
To a pub. Is it the pub and you go in the room and you go left and then it's
that's
really
it. It's like,
perfectly sized like rectangular room?
Yeah, and it's down a sort of alleyway and I love the Fleece. I've been to a few shows in the Fleece and it always sounds amazing. I was absolutely devo. I didn't make it in time for judiciary. They were on at 7:15. You dropped your vape. That's it, man. That's it now, mate.
That's it. Podcast over.
That's it. You've officially quit smoking, mate. I'm proud of you.
That's it. It's done.
They were on at 7:15. I finished work at 5:30, and the journey is 2 hours.
Bang on 2 hours.
To Bristol, and I had to get some dinner on the way, so it just wasn't ever going to happen. I was gutted, though. I was really gutted. But
did you go to the Colonel's house? Where did you go?
We went to see the King. Went to see the King, the big King.
The King of burgers. Had
an XL bacon double cheese. It was delightful. Had halloumi fries, which is a limited edition thing they're doing at the moment. They were very nice as well. So I had to put some food in my stomach. I couldn't go as much as I would have liked to have made it in time for judiciary. I missed them. I was pretty devo, but I walked through the door pretty much just as fuming mouth went on. They were absolutely brilliant. Now they were probably better when we saw them on the headline run earlier on in the year. They only had. There was only 3 of them when they had a second guitarist. I think the full lineup is a 4-piece, but for whatever reason, there was only 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of missing some of the heft that they get out of having that second guitarist because they are one of the loudest bands. I think it felt like the reception was a little bit flat, but you're still looking for your vape, aren't you? But I think everyone was just conserving their energy for the Strain because when the Strain went on, everyone went absolutely mental. Now I look like I'm talking to myself. Hey, he's got it. Congrats. When the Strain went on, mate, people went absolutely mental. It was chaos. Yeah. I haven't been to a show with a crowd that enthusiastic in a while, man. It was that's amazing. Sick. It was so nuts. There was just people stage diving and crowd surfing and massive, like at the Fleece there's like the stage and there's like a few pillars and then a big space and then a few more pillars, so in between the 2 sets of pillars was basically just mosh pit. It was kind of like perfectly designed for it. It was so cool. Get this, for an opening run of songs, right? Beast, Into the Hills Have Eyes, Into the Holy Walls of the Vatican, into Ramirez. What about that for our first 4 songs in your set? Jesus. It was something else, mate. But I have got to point out, they played for 35 minutes. It was still light. It was still light when I left the venue. It was 9:45 and the sun was still out. It was really strange. So obviously they played, I think they did Car Bomb as their last song. And then they walked off and I was kind of like, yeah, no worries. They're going to, because they literally only played Chain. They played Chain. It was the only song off the new album that they played. And they walked off and I was like, no worries. This is going to be an encore. Lights come on, music goes up literally straight away. They hadn't even finished leaving the stage. They're like, well, I guess they're not doing an encore then. That's pretty definitive, isn't it?
Journey starts playing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And I was just like, the thing is, like, we saw main support for D's Nuts, like tail end of last year. And I think they played exactly the same length of set. Like it was a different set. They played quite a mixture of songs, but it was supposed to be a headline run, but I didn't feel like it was a headline set. It was incredible, had so much fun. I ran and I got right down to the front. I was like a proper fanboy style. It was like I felt young again. It was incredible until about 4 songs in when I was just like, and I started leaning against one of the posts because I was just getting a bit tired.
Nice.
It was just like, I did a 4-hour round trip to go to that gig, and they only played for 35 minutes. It was kind of, I was trying really hard not to focus on that and try and focus on the positives of how amazing it was, how great they played, how exciting the set list was. But I did feel like I wanted more. They could have at least done like an hour. That would feel like a headline set for a band like the Acacia Strain that are pretty full on. So yeah, it was wicked. But hopefully, there's still a few other dates going. I think they're in Birmingham today, London tomorrow. There's still a few more shows that they're doing in the country. So hopefully a lot of the heaviest are out. Also, big shout out. I met Josh from the Discord, the Great Beard of Wisdom. If you're in the Discord, big up yourself, nice. Josh. It was really nice to meet you. Sorry, lovely. I spilled half a beer on your shoe, but they were like pretty big. They were pretty big, like army boots. So I think they were waterproof. So I don't think that it was I don't think it was too much of a problem.
Pretty big shoes, mate. You're basically asking for it with them shoes.
I just like when I had my beer and I leant forward and didn't think about it and just sloshed it all over him. Like it was pretty silly.
Was it nice hello as well? Was it like the first thing you did?
Pretty much, yeah. It was pretty much like the second thing after I'd said hello was spill my beer on him. So sorry about that. But yeah, absolutely wicked show. Missed you. I felt that you weren't there, son. It kind of felt like
I felt that I wasn't.
It felt wrong.
I saw your story go up and I didn't click on it for ages. I was like, oh, it's going to make me too sad.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like you should have been there with me. It felt wrong. It'd be like, if I go see like Fit for an Autopsy and I didn't see it with you, that would feel wrong.
Strange. Weird.
It just feels weird to go to see these bands without you, mate. But it was bloody wicked and I had a great time.
No, I'm glad you did, mate. I'm glad you went. Yeah. I mean,
you
got home earlier.
You'll get to take your.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I got home by like midnight, which was nice. You'll get to take your offspring to go see the Acacia Strain one day, son. Just think about that, mate. Just think about that. One day, you and your son in the pit together. It'll be great.
One day, brother.
Mate, we are here. We have convened to worship upon riffs like we do every week, apart from last week when the internet doesn't like us. We should have done a bit of plugging before we get into anything, but I'm going to do it now. Like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that sort of business that people talk about on YouTube. Maybe write us a review if you're listening to us in audio format. Maybe join our Discord. That'd be really cool. Write a comment. Interact.
What did you have for dinner?
Oh, I don't even care if it's about the video. Just tell us about your life.
I've got a new game to maybe drive up interaction.
Go on.
Write what you had for dinner, and whoever had the best dinner will get a shout out next week on the King of the Dinners, and then we'll just have a roll in King of Dinner,
King of Dins,
King or Queen of Dinner. The dinner
deity.
Royalty.
The dynasty of dinner. I like it. I like it.
Who had the best dinner? Let's see what the Wednesdays are about.
Joy, and it gives you a reason to come back next week to find out who wins the dinner dynasty.
Who's King of Dinner?
But yeah, we are here to convene to worship the riff, and what better subject matter to get stuck into than the new 200 Stab Wounds album. Yes. A week later than planned, but I don't know. I think it might have made me love it even more than I did this time last week. So it kind of works out quite nicely, if I'm honest. They're a 4-piece death metal band from Cleveland, Ohio. It's their second full-length album. It is called Manual Manic Procedures, and it came out on the 28th of June through Metal Blade Records. So we've been so massive on this band. In the last, I was trying to think, when did Slave to the Scalpel come out? 2019. I think I first heard it when I was on holiday.
21, mate.
21 was it really? Oh, yeah, 2021. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm putting a couple of extra years on there, but like basically, I remember that album came through while I was in Cyprus on holiday, and I liked the artworks, and I had nothing better to do because I was just sitting on the sun lounger, so I chucked it on, and I was like, bloody hell, Sonny, open up your inbox right now and listen to this album. It is absolutely incredible. And pretty much ever since then, I've just been a huge fan of this band. I know you have too. We went to see them. We went to a cattle decapitation gig just to see 200 Stab Wounds, and then we went home afterwards. And I mean, like, Josh last night told me off for that as well. I get told off for that. Basically every time I meet a Heavyist out in the public, I get told off for not sticking around to watch Cattle Decap.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I was full on riffs. Vomit forth 200 stabbers.
It would have just been greedy. It'd been going back to the buffet for a third time when I'd already had plenty to eat the first two times. But yeah, I've just been so excited about this album. Like, this for me has been the 2024 death metal album to watch. Like, obviously Gatecreeper, incredible album, and I'm sure that we'll have to get into a conversation about what's better later on. We'll leave that for later. I wasn't ready for how amazing the Gatecreeper album turned out to be, but I was like really, really ready for 200 Stab Wounds album. You were a much bigger Gatecreeper fan than me, like, going in, so maybe you were as equally excited about both. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, for me, this one was probably more exciting because, Gatecreeper very much sort of proved they're absolutely top of the game, and it was exciting to see what they were going to do. But like with this is like the follow up to something that absolutely blew our minds. This was something that was like, what are they going to do? Like, I feel like their profile has absolutely skyrocketed since Slave for the Scalpel, and like, this was super, super, super exciting.
Yeah,
we've just been absolutely giddy with waiting. Like, the amount of times we've just been checking the inbox anytime that name comes up. It was a big one. It's the massive one in the calendar.
Yeah, man. Like, you don't want to be that guy, but I kind of am that guy where, like, I feel like Gatecreeper are kind of bigger and more people are kind of already in the bag for them, whereas 200 Stab Wounds are a bit more niche, and therefore they feel a bit more special because I'm there and I love the band and I'm ready for it. I don't know if that makes me sound like a wanker. I'll take it. But I had a weird but quite funny situation where, when this album first landed in the inbox, I was in the middle of doing a health and safety refresher course online for work, and so I was learning how to pick up boxes safely. And then this album landed in my inbox, and I was like, you can pick up boxes with your legs all you want. This album's going to end you anyway, so I won't worry too much about it. But mate, this is just what a absolutely phenomenal album. It just, for me, it's just another add it to the list of immaculate follow-ups from death metal hype bands. Like, you kind of Homicidal Ecstasy, Sanguisuga Bog, Time to Rise from the Grave, Undeath, I guess Dark Superstition,
Glacial Domination
in there as well. Glacial Domination. There's the list of these, like, because obviously the caveman death metal movement and the old school death metal movement really got a lot of people excited, but there wasn't really a lot of variation in what was going on from the bands. They were all just throwing themselves out into the scene, and we're like, oh my god, this is really cool. And it's so exciting that all of these bands have followed up those first records with new records that really kind of distinguish them from each other. And I like to think that what you're getting here from 200 Stab Wounds is that their distinction is they are like the Groove Kings, right? They are just the absolute Groove Kings. This record, I think so much of like early Machine Head when I listen to this record. It's got that like that chunk, that heft. Like, just kind of think of like Davidian and that kind of thing. Like, what's the album called? The More Things Change, isn't it? It just really gives me that. Like, I'm a death metal fan, but I also really want to write a big, sick, head banging groove. There's so much of that all going on in this record, and I absolutely bloody adore it. This album's incredible.
Yeah, it's a brilliant evolution, and it's very much taking their DNA and just extrapolating it into an even more enjoyable experience. Like, the production style is very much, it's similar, but there's a bit more clarity this time around, definitely, which does not hurt it in any way. It's absolutely beautiful. And like, if you said to me, like, what are you looking for in a new 200 Stab Wounds record? Like, what are you looking for them to do? And I'd say, honestly, I would have just said, not much really. I just want them to be themselves. Like, they're still so sort of young in their career that I just want them to sort of be themselves still. And, what we got is that plus more solos. It's basically like they've chucked in a load more solos, and it's absolutely sick. There's a lot more sort of traditional death metal coming through. There is just buckets and buckets and buckets of mosh still. Like,
mate, so much mosh.
so cool. Like, I mean, I love the way it starts. It starts like a proper death metal record, doesn't it? It's all sort of like gothy, and sort of there's a purple mist and maybe a creepy castle, and there's sort of bats flying around. Like, it really does set the scene, doesn't it? And then they just get absolutely into it, like just mosh, chugs, circle pit madness. It's just so phenomenally enjoyable, this record.
Yeah, man. I think what really grabs me, like evolution of sound wise, is just like what you were saying about the production. Like the production has more clarity, but they haven't like completely got rid of all of the nice, like weird, creepy, stinky stuff that kind of gave them their aesthetic, goes along with that, their aesthetic and their persona as a band. Because it could be, they signed to a bigger label, there's a bit more money, there's a bit more interest. You'd worry that, it might turn into something really quantized and really polished, and that just wouldn't be right. You wouldn't want something that sounded like overly clean and robotic coming from 200 stab wounds, because they are like a sort of dirt under the fingernails kind of band, and it just wouldn't be, it wouldn't work. And I'm really glad that they kind of they understand that about their own sound, and they have kept it really, really like legit to what they're about, but taking, it's kind of like, imagine like the first iteration of a horror movie was kind of all shot on hand cameras, and it becomes like a cult classic. So then a studio comes in and gets involved, and instead of like turning it into a Hollywood blockbuster, they go, we'll make it the same way, but we'll spend all of our money on making it more gory. Like that's kind of how I imagine it. Like they've just taken the money and they've put it into the right places, and they've focused in on the right things. And then also with their sound, like they've gone much more dynamic. So there's much more like breathing space within songs, like you're saying with the intro, like it builds up, and there's much more of that kind of stuff. Like there's little moments where they even get the old acoustic guitars out and that kind of thing that works really well. And then also the solos, they're not just Kerry King, woo, woo, like they're actually like really cool technical melodic guitar solos. And the other thing is, like, one of the hallmarks of Slave to the Scalpel was where they'd have these like weird timings where they'd do something 5 times instead of 4, and it'd make everyone be a bit like, hang on, a bit confused. And now they're just like, no, let's just straighten that out. Let's just keep things on time so everyone can bang their heads to it. So you don't get lost if you're not already like well in on what they're doing, and you go and you come across them live, they're supporting someone you've gone to see or something like that. You'll know. And then when the beat switches, it'll switch where you kind of expect it to, but it's not predictable. It's just more like something that the crowd can kind of participate in easier without having to have studied the album for weeks before they get there. And I really think that that's going to help them grow and like their profile to expand as a band. Like they've made it something that is easier to get into without just completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I really respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love Led to the Chamber, that track. Like, really cool opening, sort of like Carpenter-esque, brilliant, that sort of evolves into like trad metal. Yeah. And then there's the moments where like the keys and the guitar sort of like cross paths for a moment, where the two sort of sections are bleeding into each other, and that is so cool. It's really, really cool and quite sort of new for them. And like it, and then it's boom, it just explodes into a sick ass solo. Like it's absolutely sick. I love this record.
Yeah,
like,
for sure, dude. Like,
Flesh from Within, mate. That track just gallops all over the place. And that bit, like, how many times to yourself are you doing the "Can you hear the screams"? That bit, that's like one of the most like memorable vocal bits in the record.
Yeah, dude. There's loads. Like there's, what's it in Release the Stench, where I think the breakdown, I think he says "Here comes the blood." Like, I'm not entirely sure that that's what the lyrics are, but putrid insides. It's just these little bits. Like I find it quite hard to catch the lyrics because he's got quite a garbled delivery, but you just hear these little like horrible expressions that just kind of peek through as you're listening to it, and I fucking love it. I absolutely love it, man. How do you feel about Jamie Morgan from Code Orange on Ride the Flatline?
Yes.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon to that?
It's a real treat, I think. It's a real treat because he's got a fantastic vocal, and we've not really heard it of late over like superbly hard stuff. Like it's really nice. It's like a cameo. It's like when someone pops up in a different comic, you're like, oh, he's over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like kicking ass. Like it's like when the Punisher turns up in like a Spider-Man and he just like beats someone to fuck. You're like, absolutely, yes, that's absolutely sick.
I definitely think he sounds better on this than he did on the entire of their last record. Like there's just more. For sure. There's just more bite. He just sounds really angry. He does that thing where he kind of crams syllables into a space where they shouldn't fit, but they kind of do. It works really well. It feels like this is Jamie Morgan's natural habitat. Like when we talked about Above, we were kind of saying like it's not going to be long before there isn't room for Jamie Morgan in Code Origin anymore. It's going to be Reba's going to be the lead singer and the front person of that band, and like. If that happens, you should probably just join a death metal band because he sounds absolutely wicked in this one.
It's a great setting.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. I just think there's so many. I love the kind of Cemetery Gatesy Pantera vibe that's going on in Hands of Eternity when it opens, and the big when it kicks in, like it's incredible. But the title track is wicked, where it's got that really big like D beat section. When it kind of gets a bit more raucous and a bit more sort of like almost kind of more traditional hardcore going on in there. Like I don't know why, but I kind of forgotten how much hardcore there is in 200 Stab Wounds' sound. I don't know what that's all about because obviously I've listened to Slave to the Scalpel loads, but I think it's from looking at them. They look so like old school death metal. You kind of forget that they're probably kind of hardcore kids who just grew their hair out.
Yeah, I mean the riff in Ride the Flatline, like it sounds like a Hatebreed riff.
Yeah,
like, just
man,
death metal up.
It's so moshy.
It's so cool, man. Like, yeah, this thing is great. And you know what? It's the hallmark of like a really good album is like when we were covering it, and then when we didn't end up actually doing the podcast last week, I just have kept listening to it so much. Like it's absolutely my like go-to at the moment. I'm just like flicking between that, Gate Creeper, Ulcerate, and then just sort of back, and they're just they've really been the soundtrack to my day lately, and I'm absolutely loving it.
It's been an absolutely outstanding year to be into heavy music, and this is just another record that like slots into that list of just incredible heavy records that we've had so far this year. Like I said it at the top of the review, and I think I'm going to have to ask you it now. And right now, as we stand today, what do you like better, Dark Superstition or this?
Oh, it's really tough. I honestly don't think there's a clear winner for me at the minute. That's insanely hard. I've been sort of bouncing between them all. Dark Superstition I've lived with for longer, and I've still got the stuff is still sort of like the screensaver to my brain in that record, so it's hard. I'll be honest, I can't even give you. What are you saying?
I think because I can't give you a hard time for sitting on the fence about it and getting splinters in your bum, because I kind of have to do the same thing. Like I think if you were to put a gun to my head and go, Gary, tell me right now, or that's it, I'd say Gate Creeper, just because it's probably a bit like more immediately catchy and it's a bit bigger and more anthemic than this is. But come the end of the year, I don't know where I'll be at. Like these are just two absolutely 10 out of 10 solid gold death metal bangers. And thank God for the streaming age. You don't have to go out and decide what you're going to spend your 20 quid pocket money on and pick one of them. You can listen to both of them. You could mix them you could like merge them together like this. So you could have like a Gate Creeper song, then a 200 Stab Wound song, then a Gate Creeper song, then a 200 Stab Wound. So imagine that. That would be like the best double album you've ever bloody heard in your life. The
that
split
might
album.
Be too
Let's
powerful,
make that a thing.
Actually.
That might actually be too good.
That might actually
be too good. We probably don't deserve to listen to something that good. I think we just, as a race, as a human race, we don't deserve to listen to something that good. We just, we've had too many wars for us to be deserving of that combination of records.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's far too powerful. If you harness that energy, like you might blow up. I reckon you might just erupt. You might just like turn into Dr. Manhattan. Like, I don't know. Man. I can't. We could,
I think you're right. I think
much.
if you did that, it'd be like, I don't know, like saying Beetlejuice the mirror 3 times or something. It's not worth the risk,
saying it
guys.
6 times. Get
It's
2
not worth the
Beetlejuices
risk.
turn up. It'd be mental.
It's just not worth the risk, guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know I started off suggesting it was a good idea. Now I've thought about it. Don't do it. I don't think the planet can take it. I think we'd knock it off of its axis and we'd end up floating off into the Milky Way. Yeah, it's what an absolutely amazing album. And
yeah,
I know that everybody out there has been listening to it and loving it, but our 2 cents this is one of the best albums of the year. Manual Manic Procedures by 200 Stab Wounds. Absolutely incredible. Now for something slightly different. This one I don't think this is even on either of our radars this time last week when we recorded the podcast. I think I didn't even know it was coming out. But we're here now, and it turns out this album's absolutely awesome. And just up front, I just want to clarify, we are not on commission from Dark Trail Records, I promise. Although, Christian, if you are listening, then we are not above taking backhanders to give your bands good reviews. I mean, at the end of the day, for us, it's money for nothing because they barely put out duds. Pretty much everything that comes from that label is incredible. We are talking about the God Awful Truth. They're a 4-piece chaotic metalcore band from Texas. Their new album is called All That Dark and All That Cold, and it was released last week through Dark Trail Records. So, cards on the table right now. I didn't really get the last record, Memory Palace. Like, a lot of the big mathcore heads out there were heralding it as like one of the best things to happen to the genre in years, and I didn't really understand it. I was a bit like, I kind of felt a bit like Mugatu in Zoolander, I feel like I was taking crazy pills. Like, I was just like, what am I missing? Because I like to think of myself as like a big mathcore guy. Like, I'm not the mathcore guy. Obviously, I'd never take that away from the boys, but I do like to think that I'm a big mathcore guy. I kind of grew up on the stuff. And I was just listening to it and I was like, this is all right, but it's not really, I don't know, it's just not really getting me very excited. Like, it's just a perfectly serviceable mathcore record. But then I heard this new record and I felt really, I don't know, just kind of felt
like a jackass,
like an idiot, but also really happy at the same time. Yeah, because this is absolutely bloody wicked. I've got to say, I feel like they've definitely dialed up the identity on this new record compared to Memory Palace. Like, I really feel like you can kind of pick them out of a lineup of bands who've listened to Ion Dissonance and the Dillinger Escape Plan before, which is like, I think is really important in this scene that's got such a small pool of influence.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm in. I absolutely love this. This thing is...
It's wicked, isn't it?
Wicked. It's really raw. I think what I quite like, I think some of its charm sort of comes from its sort of almost like lo-fi nature, like in a similar way to like the Sunflower record is like really bloody awesome. And it's not like overproduced. It's like, it's music of such sort of diversity and scale and intensity that it absolutely could, you could see it having a different sort of route to production and it sounding a little bit different. And I think it gives it a lot of its character. It's kind of like sort of stripped back and raw, kind of like Old Mouth Breather, that sort of thing, right? That comes definitely across, and that it gives it sort of that more like visceral feel. I'm absolutely loving this thing. Like you say, there's influences do really stick out. Like there's like massive. I love the amount of daughters in it, right? At this moment in time, well, it's daughters is like it's off the cards right now. Since he's in the bin.
He's in the bin because he is, he's not a nice person. And we all knew he wasn't a nice person, but then he kind of reformed, but then it turns out he never actually reformed.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, I like to think more kind of Josh Scogin when you kind of hear those like drawly parts. Like he was just as much of a proponent of it.
Well, what I like about this record is that you simultaneously get like sort of both eras of Daughters, which we never got together. You get like the scatty screaming, but then you also get like the southern, like the drunk preacher vibes. Like and that's great. That's a beautiful thing to be like, to give like fans of this music, like if all of it coming together, which is, it's fantastic.
I've got in my notes, I've written down the words "hell songs for core kids," and I think that's kind of it, isn't it? It's like it's just throwing wicked, sick, bouncy metalcore riffs to that kind of weird vibe that you got from hell songs. I tell you what, with this band, the drummer is something else, mate. He's absolutely bloody brilliant, and I tell you, it's something that I think we talked about when we talked about the last Chamber record, where there's bands in this scene where the drummer is led rather than leads. Like, you know, the guitars kind of take control and the drummer just kind of works out how to play to what the guitars are doing. And you end up with songs that are just a bit messy and difficult to hold on to. Whereas in this band, the drummer is the pulse, he's the heartbeat, and everyone else is kind of figuring it out around him. And you do end up with a performance that's like, probably like a Nat's bollocks away from Taylor Carpenter, mate. Like, the drummer in this band is absolutely incredible. And it just makes everything gel so much more and makes you feel like you're on the front foot with it at all times. You're not like playing catch up on what's going on, and I feel like it's got a really solid pulse that you can hang on to. And I think that's 100%. Really, really, really important in this genre of music, is having the drummer be in charge of the vibe of a song and not it be led by the guitars. And I think that the God Awful Truth have just got that just so right, and it just makes everything feel so much more. It just makes it you have more purchase on it, and as a result you can enjoy it more and you're not just sat there scratching your head. And like, to that point, like, I love how I think the vocal performance on this is fantastic. Oh, it's so good.
There's a huge range of almost like characters
really
in this,
dexterous.
Right? It goes from these really scatty highs to these like Anthony Lucero lows that are so brilliant, and they sort of bounce in between, and then there's this more like hardcore shout, and the vocals they ride the music so perfectly. Like, it's this, they switch characters per, like, when the moment switches, they go into like a different riff. It will be a different character per the riff.
Exactly,
and it's so cool. And like, the vocal delivery, he's like, the vocalist, he's basically, you know, like you have like a sommelier, which will like pair your like food with wine. Like, he's basically a riff sommelier, and he's just pairing. He's like this for this riff. This is the best vocal to go here. Like, I'm gonna go low as hell, and it's gonna completely ride it so brilliantly. And
that might be the best metaphor that we've ever had on this podcast, Sonny. Riff sommelier. That is so. I've written down. Honestly, I've written down it's a different vocal character for every vibe that the band play. Like, I've written those exact words, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the riff sommelier. Oh. You've hit that one on the head, mate. Yeah, you're right. Like, and the band do have a lot of like interesting vibes, and they try different things. Like, there's obviously Symbology is a song that I'm going to keep coming back to. That song is so good. It's got a little bit of wackiness about it. You know, you get a little bit of wackiness come through in some sort of mathcore bands. You know, they have like monsters on the t-shirts, and the songs will have silly titles, but not too much that you go, all right, bloody hell, calm it down, boys. Like, you know, they're not going to be like running around stage wearing capes or whatever. They're not one of those kind of bands. But there's just that little element of it in that song to make it feel really silly, like, and fun in places. You get like Slicks Back, where it feels like someone crossbred Every Time I Die in Frontiera. Like, I love that vibe. I absolutely love that vibe. It's so cool. That like weird, techie, broken, but also southern with a bit of classic rock kind of things twinged in there. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, and in like Street Rat, it's kind of like this chaotic, chariot-loving sort of party punk. Like, I love these different places that it goes. And I've got it in my notes, but I can't find it. It's there's the track where he goes full like Listener, right? And anybody that is a Chariot fan, like, their life was absolutely permeated by the Listener record, right? Because it just was, when that came out, like, that put everybody onto him, and then I went to see him and stuff. And,
yeah, me too. Like, that was album, not the sort of thing I'd ever really get involved in. Like, I know you were quite into Lad Dispute, but that wasn't really something that like really did anything for me. But Listener were a band that like kind of snuck in for sure. I think it's I think the song you're talking, it's Omelette de Fromage, isn't it? I think that's the one you're talking about. Yeah,
which is like amazing. That's Dexter and Dexter's Lab. Do you remember that episode?
No, I just know
Omelette
it's French for cheese omelette, right?
Yeah, no, there's an episode where like Dexter learns French, but the only thing he learns is omelette du fromage, and then he just keeps saying it to everything. It's
amazing.
It's one of the classic Dexter's Lab episodes.
That's quality. Yeah, and then you get like We Put You Through the Window, where they kind of slow things down and go for a bit more of a deliberate groove kind of vibe, which is really awesome and works really well when a lot of what's going on is quite hyperspeed and quite scatty and quite all over the place. It's really nice to have that track in there where you can just kind of like slowly kind of bob your head to it. Like they've really just nailed it, haven't they? Like this record has kind of got everything exactly where you want it in the perfect amounts at the perfect times. Like it's just a masterclass. It's spot on.
Rainmaker, that scatty discordance brilliance with like this sort of like cult leader rhythmic batterings. There's just so many sort of golden sounds melted into one here, and they've really, really absolutely smashed it. One of my favorite things about the record is just obviously I've talked about the vocals, but I want to talk about them again because they're just so good. Like I love that they genuinely, like in that track, Put You Through the Window, like the attack is so sort of feels so organic. It's so you'll get like a low, right? And it felt so massive and so raw and so organic, like I said, and it's just the complete opposite of like some like overproduced bullshit deathcore that like a guy's not even trying, like where it's all just like in the throat. It's not there's no blood vessels in his brain about to pop, like
and then you just like, turn it up in the studio, right? Yeah, none of that.
It's just like like this is the opposite. This is all heart, and it sounds brilliant. It sounds so mortal. Like it's so mortal in the best sense, and this is great. It's 29 minutes 53 seconds of just sick riffs. I love
punchy,
it.
And I think you're. I think the kind of what we were, like last episode when we were talking about Foreign Hands, and we were kind of like, let's be honest. There's like you can see where all the influences come from. Potentially, it might be get straight into tropey territory, but you go along with it because you can feel the passion and you can feel the love and the devotion of what they're doing, and they're not they're not trying to ape certain bands because it will make them cool. They're giving you all of their passion for their favorite music all at one time, and as a result it's just got that glint in the eye, and it just has that, and you feel like they'd be there, and they drag you up onto stage to join them because they could tell that you're having as much fun worshipping at their favorite music as they are. And it's just one of those kind of vibes where you just feel like, oh, I love this band because we are the same people, and I can tell that from listening to their music. And I just think that's why it works so much better than a lot of other stuff. It's just got that little extra secret source of passion that you can't fake. And
absolutely,
as a result, this album, bloody fantastic, mate. Bloody fantastic. Big up Dark Trail. Big up the God Awful Truth. Quality stuff.
Yeah. All that dark and all that cold on Dark Trail Records.
Big up. Big up. Big up. Big up. Bruh. Yeah, mate. Awesome. Two absolutely bloody brilliant records. You got any sneaky little AORs you wanted to chat about?
Yes, a couple of little delicacies for you, Gary, that I've been thoroughly enjoying.
Go on.
Are you familiar with the band Wharflurch, the death metal band?
I have definitely come across the name Wharflurch before. Did they play the Celestial Sanctuary album release show, or was that Slime Lord?
I think that was Slimy
Lord. Oh, okay, my bad. But yeah, I've definitely listened to Wharflurch before.
They put out a new record called Shittier / Slimier. Phenomenal. It's 36 minutes of brilliant death metal. So what they do is they have very much an old school death metal sound that you'd be very familiar with, but what they do so well is they have this sort of like psych influence. They'll sort of they'll sort of like this sweltering psilocybin death metal, and it's really cool. It's very, it creates this really sort of interesting, heinous expanse, and it is just, it's like Astro Death and Psych combining to just really, really cool effect. Like they, yeah, it's just, it sounds like it was a hell of a lot of fun to write. They're jamming out, delivering sick death metal, but also like really psyching out hard, and like they've just absolutely nailed it on this record. The last one was good, but I think this one might be even better. It came out recently, like in the last like week or so, and yeah, it's called Ttier, Slimier. I can't recommend it enough if you're a fan
I'll have
of
to
the
check
old
that out.
death.
Like, obviously, I've been getting my main 5 death metals a day from 200 stab wounds, so I've not really been looking around for anything else. But that sounds really cool. Like, I like stuff a bit weird, you know, funny, like the last Slime Lord record where it was very weird and had that vibe about it. Yeah, I'm definitely keen to check that out. I wanted to just quickly shout out something, which actually it's quite good that Tom isn't here, because this would be absolutely Tom's worst nightmare, which is the new Sunfall record. They're a UK newcore band, and I feel like they've been around for absolutely forever, but this is weirdly their debut album. It's called Les Morts sont nés ici, which I believe is French for The Dead Are Born Here. And
nice.
It's really cool. Like, in previous iterations, they've kind of really, really, really gone hard down the kind of new metal corn kind of vibe. But on this record, they've definitely switched it up a bit, gone for more of a kind of Tony Danza, Humanity's Last Breath style, techie metalcore vibe. And you just know that's a bit of me, mate. You know that I'm all about bands that sound like that. I absolutely love it. You know, the new metal vibes are still there. They still throw in these like, there's like a track that's got like a drum and bass intro, which obviously everyone already always immediately thinks ILS by Slipknot. But it's just harder, more technical. They do the melody, but they kind of do it in that sort of Joe Bad, like really like hard screamed melody style. Just really digging the crap out of this record, man. It's really fun. It's bouncy, it's technical. It's, you know, it's just everything that I always gravitate towards when I'm listening to new music. I just think it's really, really sick.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I got a couple more things that I would like to tell you about.
Go on.
One thing, this came out in April, but I was like doing a bit of a Bandcamp dive the other day, and I came across it, and it's very, very sick. I couldn't see any mention of it in the old Discord either, so I don't know if it's a bit of a, it's just sort of flying under the radar. There's a band called Diabolic Oath. And they're from Portland. They put out an album on April the 5th called Oracular Hexations. It is sort of blackened death grind. It's gruesome, it's fetid, it's got all the sinister textures that you'd expect from something utilizing black death and grind as words. But it's all fretless.
Okay.
So it's quite an interesting concept for a band like that. And they really do excellently craft these sort of dissonant auras. And there's moments where it's sort of like little bits of Imperial Triumphant things like that will peek through, and then it will grind the fuck out. Like loads of, and then on top of that, loads of sort of really cool earworm death metal riffery, repulsive gargling vocals. It's absolutely sick. The last 2 records are like really long tracks. They're both like 9 and 8 minutes, and it sort of shifts from the grind to the black metal to its sort of expansive benefit, and they create something really cool, really, really cool. It's a very interesting record, and I think it's sort of going under the radar a bit.
Yeah, you've definitely piqued my interest there. That sounds really interesting.
I know I'd get you on the fretless. I know I'd get you like fretless, black and death grind,
kind of fretless. Like fretless and like the sort of microtonal kind of stuff where it's like just kind of playing outside of your original scale of music and just doing something like even weirder, like taking dissonance to a whole new level. That sounds exciting, mate. You're gonna have to send me a link to that. I'm definitely keen to check that one out. That sounds wicked.
And lastly, I've got something that I think is very bloody cool, and I kind of have like abstained from sending it to you because I wanted to sell it to you and then sell it to you. Then
give me the pitch. Give me the pitch. Hang on a second. Let me just take up my my impress me position.
Okay. How would you like a band that, like the Acacia Strain, Cult Leader, Sanguisuga Bog, and Converge. How does that sound to you? How do that sort of influence, Paul? Sort of.
Okay, I'm moving from my impress me position because I have been impressed officially. Come on, then. That sounds bloody wonderful.
There's a band called Knife Spitter, and they put out a 3-track EP called Deeper Than Hell. It came out on the 28th of June, and it just absolutely fucking rips. So how I want to sort of picture it is like, think of the way that like Scorch Mind sort of recently have sort of taken all the influences and smashed them into like a very sort of cored up version of those sort of things.
Okay, yeah.
Underneath those sort of things where they're sort of taking these brilliant bands that we like and then sort of filtering it through more of a death metal vibe. Yeah, it's very, very sick. Sort of gruesome, suffering textures, but all sort of gelled together by this sort of subhuman low end groove. And yeah, really combining the favorites like Cult Leader and the Strain together to make just these brilliant, like nasty, piercing, just metal inflections. It's very, 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 very cool.
That sounds
there's
cool.
Moments,
what are they called? Knife Splitter?
They're called Knife Spitter.
Oh, Spitter without the L.
Knife Spitter, yes.
Oh,
to spit the knives.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah. I had a little look in the Discord. I don't think anyone's posted it. It might be a golden
cheeky.
It might be a golden find, Gary. I think it's very cool.
You found the golden ticket in the Wonka bar, mate.
Yes.
The golden ticket of riffs. I'm definitely down with both of those. I will absolutely be checking those out later on this evening, I would assume. Or next time that there's a football game, or maybe. That sounds wicked, mate. What a stacked show. What a stacked show.
Bloody stacked.
Join us again next week when we will be talking about everyone's favourite Australian flute-playing hardcore band.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ganged up.
Just get in that gang. Awesome.
All right.
We'll see you then.
Lovely podcast. We'll see you soon, Lee. Thank you very much. Yeah, like I said, if you'd like to sort of tell us what you had for dinner, you could be the new dinner king.
Dinner king. Let's crown a dinner king. See you in the comment section. Bye.
Bye.